Hi and welcome back to the UTF podcast. Here to talk more sport. Sorry we weren't here last week. We had some stuff on, but there's plenty of sport stories during the time we've been off. It always seems to be the case, doesn't it?
But when we have a week off, we seem to miss a few things.
It happens, and then we just have to
play catch up, really.
Cherry pick what we want. We've got some football stories to talk about, a bit of rugby as well. Elliott Cuff, Gavin, Barrett. There's our Twitter handles if you could be so kind. Drop us a follow on one of those, that would be lovely. Pepsi, you know the drill. Cheers, all best as per. We want straight into it?
Yeah, we should. Just remember to subscribe to our channel for more content, which will be coming in the recent weeks. We do care about that. So
like it before you watch the video. Like it now. That's great. We're not worried. We'd appreciate it.
We would. We're really trying to get 100 subscribers. So
don't like it, dislike it.
The quicker we get 100, the better for us. So hopefully, press that button.
That'd be massive.
But other than that, first story.
If you're not texting out the video links to your mates, then what's the point? Do your bit. Subscribe to PewDiePie. So the first story is a massive story. You've definitely seen it over the weekend because, how could you not see it?
Live on Sky, 30,000 there.
Poor Mr. Jack Grealish did not get what he was hoping he would get.
But he did in the end.
So set the scene. Aston Villa versus Birmingham City at St Andrews, Birmingham's ground. Massive derby, second city derby. Always a very
feisty affair.
And some geezer thought it would be appropriate to skip the fence, come over and give Jack Grealish a big wallop around the back of the head. Has not gone down very well from both the club's perspective, the fans' perspective. But I think one thing unanimous you can agree on is Grealish did really well to cope with it. He just rolled over and sat up and just kind of didn't do anything and let the stewards and all his teammates sort the fan out, and I think he was quite good. Come away from it quite well.
I guess what made it worse for Birmingham fans was he ended up scoring the winner as well. So obviously it's a nightmare for them. There's obviously our producer Marcus, a Birmingham fan. He was at the game, and him and a lot of Birmingham fans all were kind of happy that happened. Obviously it's not great for the club, but they seemed all to love it. There was especially Jack Grealish. Obviously he was probably the most hated player there since, according to Marcus, Lee Hendry. So I think that shows how bad they hate him.
He's Aston Villa boy, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think obviously he's a boyhood fan, and he delights in the fact that he likes showing off, and he likes goading the Birmingham fans, and he really is a proper Villa boy. And but I think no matter how much you don't like a player,
you can't go on a pitch.
There's certainly a line, and this bloke crossed it. What's interesting is there's we don't see an awful lot of stuff of this nature because it was bad. He did come right from behind him and give him a good clout on the side of the head, and it did look bad, especially in slow motion. How would you combat this? Because Birmingham have come out with a statement and they've said they're going to try and increase safety measures. But if you've already got, like we said, it's a feisty affair. You've got police on standby. You've got so many stewards lining the exterior of the pitch because they know they need to protect the players at all costs. What do you do? How do you stop that then?
It's hard, isn't it? Really, it's difficult because there's still stewards there, but the stewards don't really care. And if you've seen at one point during the game, the stewards were actually kicking Jack Grealish themselves. One steward got arrested for it. So, for example, I'm not sure if it would have happened if that was at Villa Park, because I think the Villa fans were obviously stop Birmingham fans more. Same as I don't think a Villa fan could have came on the pitch and dropped a Birmingham player at St Andrews. I think that's one of the big differences as well. The stewards are normally fans of the club or from that area anyway. Yeah. So they don't really care. Obviously, that's the idiot that done it.
Who's been sentenced? Is it 14?
14 weeks in prison. And he's got a 10-year ban from St Andrews. Lifetime ban from St Andrews. 10 years ban from football. Yeah. So it'd be interesting if we turn up in 10 years' time.
It's mental how he hasn't been given a lifetime ban from football. You come on the pitch and you've whacked a player. How are you not banned from football? As you made a point the other day, he could, in theory, in 10 years' time, show up to Villa Park and come on and give anyone else a whack. He won't be still there. But
if he is still playing, then he could
come on and give him a whack again because he's not banned from football, and that's just mental. Right? He's really, really mad.
It was just. I don't know, it's not the first thing that happened in the last week either. Obviously, there's a few other situations we'll go on about, so it's not just a one-time thing. Obviously, it happened in the Man United game, it happened in the Rangers game. So there's a couple of things that... It's obviously a clear cause in football. Like, I've seen some people calling for stewards or security to have guns and stuff, and that's just ridiculous. Like that cause.
Who was it again? Durham, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. So no, I'm not sure if it was. I can't remember who it was exactly.
No, Cottrell.
Yeah, that's right. It was Dave Cottrell, and so I think that'd just be ridiculous. I think that'd cause more problems than it is actually worth.
Yeah, I mean that's just a ludicrous statement. But I think it's a conversation for another day. But it's fairly clear that violence in football is getting worse and worse. You're seeing a lot of issues on and off the pitch. I mean, producer Marcus went to the Cheltenham Town game at the weekend. There was fighting amongst the
County fans.
It's happened at West Ham, in recent times. It's not a very good thing. And like I said, it's a conversation for another time. What I'm more interested in is how do you sanction clubs like that do this? Because, I mean, again, Marcus made a point to us, which is why should Birmingham suffer, which in turn means all the fans suffer when one fan is a moron. But clubs, you would imagine, have to be punished for letting that happen, because if it's at your ground with your stewards, you should never allow that to happen. And it did. So how do you fairly punish the club without making it too drastic? Because I mean,
some people have said,
about points deduction.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
You think the amount of fans that are in that ground that didn't punch Grealish are now suffering, seeing their club suffer because of one moron. So what would you do? Other than give them a fine?
Because the main issue is obviously not just what happened, but for example, if he went into the stadium with, say, a knife in his sock or anything like that, he could have seriously injured or killed someone if he wanted to. If he had a knife in his pocket, he could easily have stabbed Jack Grealish. So it could. I know it's drastic lengths, but it's true.
When you're going to consider things, you have to consider the worst possible.
Exactly. So that's an issue. So it's kind of hard to decide what the punishment should be for Birmingham. Obviously, because it is only one fan. It's not the club. It's not the whole fans in general. Sorry. And but they do need to be punished for something, and I'm not sure what that would be, because points deduction is not the answer, because that's just ridiculous, even though they might get one anyway for the financial situation. Yeah. But so it's hard. I don't know. I'm not sure how you could punish them, because you can't really say let's play a game behind closed doors either or anything like that. So
because that punishes all the rest of the fan base.
Exactly.
Right. So you're right. It is really difficult because
a fine, but what's a fine going to do? Really.
And then also, some fans have come out and said, well, if you do a fine, you're punishing the club financially. Which means, in theory, they might suffer down the road, which means fans suffer, but I don't know really. I mean, I asked you the question because I don't know the answer myself. It's difficult, but you think they have to be punished in some way, and thankfully we're not the ones making those decisions. But you went on. You mentioned that we've seen other stuff this week even, and obviously we'll go on to the Man United game because you'll know more about that than I do. I only just saw the incident this morning. Somehow I missed it beforehand, but. There was an incident in that game.
Yeah, it wasn't massive or anything compared to that. But pretty much when Aubameyang scored the penalty, an Arsenal fan ran on the pitch, and I think he was just going to celebrate. But obviously he went past Smalling, and in that moment thought, I'm going to push him or something. So he ended up just pushing Chris Smalling. It wasn't a lot in it, but again,
it's hardly even a push. It's like a very light.
Yeah, but again, it's still, if he had something on him, he could have easily just went for Chris Smalling. If he wanted to punch Chris Smalling, he could easily have done it. He could have done anything he wanted, Chris Smalling, at that moment in time.
I think what stands out to me is that if you see pitch invasions every year when people get promoted, and they win titles and stuff, and I think pitch invasions are not a bad thing when it's so many people, because you can't expect the stewards to possibly hold back 30,000-40,000 people. But it's when you see one person get on, you think, how have you got on? How are they letting a single? There's no way these stewards should let a single person on. You should be able to contain that. And like you said, you're running the risk every single time of there being so much more violence and so much more damage caused if that person is even more of an idiot than we're giving them credit for.
So the main issue is here for me is everyone's all about giving Birmingham a sanction or doing something to Birmingham because of what happened there. But the only difference is between that and what happened in the Arsenal game is that he punched a player. For me, if they get punished, I feel like someone like Arsenal should get punished. Same with Hibernian and Rangers. Should Hibernian get punished? Because that was even worse than the Smalling one.
What happened there again exactly?
So James Tavernier went to just pick up the ball for a throw-in, and this Hibernian fan came across and just punted the ball out of his hands and then pushed him. So James Tavernier pushed him back, and they had a little bit of scuffle before security came and just dragged the guy away. But it was a serious intent that he was going straight for James Tavernier. So it wasn't like he was just going to celebrate or anything, because it was a throw-in. So he suddenly just went straight for him. So it was a bit of intent behind that, which is even worse than...
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same with Grealish, really. The bloke has come out and said in his court hearing, or his solicitors come out and claims that he was going on the pitch to try and motivate the fans, to try and get them, all geared up, and then in the moment decided to change his mind. And it's rubbish, because you see him come on the pitch and he makes a beeline straight for Grealish. Knows exactly what he's doing. I mean, it's a coward's punch. And
it was from behind as well.
From behind, when he has no idea who's even on the pitch. It's not good, and it's a problem that football needs to sort out. One of many problems they need to sort out at the moment. But yeah, it's certainly not a good thing.
But if you punish one, you've got to punish all. I know that what happened in the end was a bit more drastic, but still the same thing could have happened. And I think if any club has that problem, they should all be punished in the same way.
And then again, you have to look at stewards and look at how you find the right people, because there was the issue before. I don't know if you remember with the bloke at Tottenham onto the stadium who was just going like that, wasn't patting people down. I mean, if you have another one of those, and this bloke isn't, or this woman who's doing that job isn't caught on camera and shown posted on social media like the last guy was, if you have someone else who's doing the same kind of thing, again, you can have all manners of things brought into the game, and more trouble caused, and the buck always is going to come down to the club who hires the stewards, who hires the people that do security, for not doing a good enough job in protecting the players. Because I think we all make lots of comments about how footballers should be grateful for what they get, and they're really highly paid and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, they shouldn't need to feel like they're in danger when they're playing a game of football.
So we both agree that there should be punishment for these clubs, obviously, who have these problems, but we don't know what the punishment should be.
Yeah, so it's lucky we're not the ones having to make the decision.
Let us know what you think the punishment should be for clubs like Birmingham, Arsenal and Hibernian for things they've done, or if they should be punished at all. Let us know either in the comment section down below or on our social medias, which will be in the description below, or from the start of, obviously, when Mark's done that.
We'll have the UTF social here, please, somewhere around here.
Hopefully.
The end of my finger, my hand, whatever you want to do. Go for it.
Mark's definitely going to let you down and make you look back there.
Yeah, I'm just going to be waving at the camera.
He's definitely going to bug off. On to the next big story, which is a bit more recent. Zinedine Zidane, the return.
The great return.
To Real Madrid. What's your big idea on this? Because for me, I think he knew exactly what he was doing when he left, and I think he knows exactly what he's doing now coming back. I think he's technically got his spot on.
I agree. Just to give a bit of backstory, obviously, Zinedine Zidane has won 3 back-to-back Champions League trophies with Real Madrid, and then decided he was going to call it a day. Packed it in, left. They appointed Julen Lopetegui. Did not go very well. Was promptly sacked. Santiago Solari was given the temporary job, and then that was converted into the full-time job at Real Madrid, and he had a disastrous run. And Real Madrid have been poor. I mean, not poor as in like they're mid-table, but poor for their standards.
This kind of capitulated in like a space. They're still in like 3 or 4 competitions, and they ended up out of all of them in space for a week.
Yeah.
So
they definitely lost the La Liga title. Champions League, they bowed out to Ajax, and Ajax are a historic club, but there's no way Real Madrid should be losing to a side like that. It all went very, very wrong. So Zidane's come back, and I agree that you're right. It was a massive stroke, because he knows that after winning 3 back-to-back Champions League titles, his first managerial stint of his career, I mean, other than being in the Real Madrid youth side, he knows he's going to get a job. I mean, excuse me again, there's been a lot of talk about him going to Manchester United, and all these other clubs that might consider him. He's a very hot prospect who's out on the market, free agent. And then Real Madrid now are absolutely desperate for him to come back, because as far as they're concerned, ever since he left, everything's fallen apart. So, their president, Florentino Perez, has picked up the phone and I imagine has said, we'll give you what you want. We'll give you anything you want. Come back. We need you back. So not only has he probably got a significant pay rise, he's now probably got one of the easiest jobs there is, because, I mean, he can't be worse than Solari.
No, because I think he knew when Ronaldo decided he was leaving, obviously to go to Juventus, Zidane knew they were going to struggle this year. I think he had the feeling, he knew the squad was ageing and not good enough.
Yeah, you look at a lot
the youngsters were too young, the older players were too old. So
you look at a lot of people like Toni Kroos and Luka Modric, I mean, even people like Sergio Ramos and Gareth Bale, they're all getting on, aren't they? Karim Benzema, they're all older.
Courtois has been awful as well. He keeps letting balls go between his legs the whole time. So, yeah, I don't know. I think he just knew that it was the right time to leave. And then I think he thought he might have got another job. I think he was targeting the United one. I think he thought Mourinho might go, and he was targeting that. But obviously, since Solskjaer came in, amazing, and he's going to get the job.
Well,
with rumours, he's going to be announced next week.
I was sure Zidane would get the job. United job.
There's rumours.
I don't think anyone could have anticipated how good Solskjaer would be.
There's rumours Solskjaer's going to be announced next week at United. So I think Zidane has kind of seen now, that opportunity's left now. There's not many other clubs that he thinks he'd want to go to, so the opportunity obviously came back, which will make him look genius.
He's always maintained that he is a Madrid man, isn't he? So he's never going to say no, I suppose, to the phone call.
Plus, apparently they're going to give him 300 mil to spend this summer with 5 or 6, maybe 7 players he wants to sign.
Maybe that's also come into his thinking then, because maybe he left because he was thinking about this. Ronaldo's leaving. What's going to happen? And he wasn't. Real Madrid didn't believe that they were in a position to need that much strengthening, and maybe now after they've struggled and they've said, right, we'll give you 300 million to spend, he's gone, great, because that's what I needed, that's what you wouldn't have given me. I mean, this is all speculatory, but he might have said, well, he might have thought, that's what I needed before, you wouldn't have given it to me, but now you've seen firsthand how bad things are. It's not gone on my record, I'm not the one who's responsible for it, but I can fix it, give me the money.
It will be interesting to see how he does in his second stint as well. Obviously, will he be as successful as the first one?
I think it's worth pointing out that in his 3 seasons, I don't like the idea that people go, well, you've inherited a team, but he did inherit a team. He still had to use his own managerial ability to get them to 3 titles in a row, but he never spent an awful lot of money on big players like Gareth Bale, Cristiano Ronaldo, so it'll be interesting with that money to see what he does.
Because they weren't just 3 in a row, it was 4 and 5, so he's
4 and 5, yeah, but
it's
3 of them.
Yeah, 3 of them, 3 in a row is nothing. There's no mean feat. You can't just say he's manager with the squad.
Been done twice in history.
So you can't just say he's a manager with the squad. He's got something about him as a manager. So I think it'd be interesting to see how he does if he can compete again with Barcelona, who seem to be strengthening again. Obviously they're signing Delight and obviously De Jong as well.
So I think Barcelona haven't been exemplary this season.
I don't think they've been as good as everyone makes out.
Suarez has struggled. I think Barcelona at the moment are the best in La Liga. I wouldn't say by default, because they're obviously still a fantastic side, but they're not. They're not been as good as I thought they'd be. They're not the same level as they have been. So if Zidane comes in and really hits the ground running, there is quite an easy possibility of him sort of trying to regain that top spot. But it'll be interesting, really, because I think La Liga and the El Clasico has been quite boring this season because Barcelona have been far superior, so it makes it more interesting.
Quick thing on Ronaldo though as well, since you mentioned, obviously we're not going to talk very much today obviously because it was last night and we didn't plan for it, but last night Ronaldo hat-trick, sending Juventus through. If he does make it 3 from 3, 3 Champions League for 3 different clubs, does that make him one of the greatest does it make him the greatest of all time?
No.
Well, it does for me. I think he is anyway. But we'll move on from that. It's a debate for a different time.
I will back Lionel Messi.
Three times at 3 different clubs, though. That's insane. If he drags Juventus to that, especially after last night, hat trick against Atletico Madrid.
Everyone makes the same kind of half cringy comment, but they always say, Cristiano Ronaldo could well be the best footballer in the world, but Messi's not from this world.
So. Shut up. Shut up.
Here's a friendly reminder.
Well, there was a friendly reminder.
Rashford.
There you go.
Friendly reminder, if you haven't done so already, please drop us a subscribe. As we said at the beginning of the show, we're 18, I think, away from 100. 100's a massive milestone for us. We've been doing this, over 12 months now.
Yeah, obviously there was a bit of a gap in between, but big gap in between.
But over 12 months now. We don't know what we're going to do with it really, but if we can hit 100, we'd be chuffed. We really would be chuffed. So if you could do that, if you're still watching at this point, then we'd very much appreciate it.
Obviously,
this is one of the big stories that we missed out on
last week
because we weren't here last week,
and we could not talk about it.
Whereas it's not that relevant anymore. You're right. If it was Everton in the same position, we would be talking about it. So we're talking about it.
What a night! What a night! It was just Manchester United, wasn't it? That is Manchester United. That night is
quite something.
It's one of those nights in the history of United you kind of associate with a club like that. I kind of written this off. 2-0 down, obviously, first leg. We're the first club to ever successfully come back from 2-0 at home loss to win the second leg away and go through in progress. So that's something that obviously United need to be proud of. What makes the result even more astonishing is we had 10 players out injured. We had
squad.
Paul Pogba suspended. If you look at our starting 11, we had well, around midfield. Fred, who's been underachieving.
Look at the substitutes you had to rely on. The talent from the bench was Tahith Chong and
Mason Greenwood.
So you didn't have the Man United strength, the deep squad.
No, there was a bunch of cool youngsters, but when you saw Manchester United over the last 20, 30 years, obviously our academy and our youngsters obviously means a lot to the club.
Oh, of course, yeah.
The class 92, for example, so hopefully the new class will be able to represent that and do it again. People like Tahith Chong, Mason Greenwood, James Garner, Scott McTominay. Scott McTominay obviously was class that day. Fred, best game for the club. Angel Gomez as well, yeah. Obviously he didn't get a chance to come on, but great player. But if you just look at the team, the midfield three of Fred, Pereira and McTominay, you look at that and think they're going to have a field day.
Yeah, I mean, when you compare it to Pogba, Matic, Herrera or Pogba, Matic, whoever you want to play, it does definitely look like a B-string Man United side.
But
so, I mean,
honestly, the players were outstanding. Them three midfield. Fred's best game club, as I said. So McTominay was immense. Pereira had a good game. Chris Smalling, best game I've ever seen him play. Poked at Mbappe, 10 out of 10. He was incredible all night. He did everything.
Romelu Lukaku, you got to give credit for as well.
Yeah, honestly,
his goal was a mistake from PSG, but I mean he's in.
You could generally accept.
And it's a striker's instinct to be pressing up against Kara like he was.
You could generally give every player in that team, except for maybe Bailly at the start, but he was playing out of position. It didn't really work out with him and Young. When that changed, to change the game for us.
That's worth pointing out as well. Yeah, the first half you were being absolutely ripped to shreds down that one flank, and it didn't look like.
So when we changed that,
it wasn't going to be you.
So when we changed that, obviously, so when we changed that worked perfectly. So everyone, but obviously after the change, 10 out of 10. I couldn't really give them any less because I think all of them were just outstanding. They gave everything for the club, ran their socks off, and obviously in the end got the result. Some people might say we didn't deserve, but I feel if you keep working hard and do what we did, I think we deserved the result.
Personally, I wouldn't say you didn't deserve it because I think if you've done it in that manner, you have deserved it. My only thing, and I think you disagree with me, is I don't think it was a penalty.
I think it's a penalty, but
I mean, as we've seen, it's been very contentious online. People are mixed. Referees tend to say it is a penalty. For me, the UEFA have come up with the written report of why it was given as a penalty. It doesn't make sense to me. It's not right in my mind. I think it's very, very harsh on Presnel Kimpembe, who has to burden that, knowing that he's given away a penalty so late on, which, if scored, means they're out.
Karma though, he should have been red carded in the first leg anyway.
I mean, I don't know. I can't remember.
He should have red card in the first leg anyway. So it's karma for him, but also, yeah, for me, it's not. I don't mind if people disagree with. Well, I think the decision was absolutely correct, but the issue is, do you disagree or agree with the rule? Because the rule is what made it a penalty, and I think that's definitely a penalty from the rule. But
for me, I agree with the rule, but I disagree with how they've applied the rule. Because
he did make himself bigger.
Basically, what UEFA come out and said is they said the ball being struck was too far away. It was far away enough from Kimpembe for him to move out of the way in time, and his arm was out at a.
He's enlarged himself to stop.
Not enlarged himself. It was not like an ordinary ankle. So it's not like his arm would normally be in that position. But I disagree. The ball was too far away because I think the speed at which it's hit.
He was quite far away. Diego Dalot.
Yeah. The speed at which the ball was hit, it's gone like a rocket. I don't think he has any chance of getting out the way of the ball. I think that's ridiculous. You have to look at. You have to take into account real time context.
It didn't hit him though. He jumped in front of the ball, so he could have got out the way.
He jumped to block, but I also think.
So he could have got out the way. He didn't have to jump to block.
I also think it's ridiculous to expect players to jump with their arms by their side. It doesn't happen. No. When you jump, you use your arm. If he was like that, with his arms up like that, then fair enough. His arm was like that, which is out.
But it was out like that, so his elbow was out like that.
It was out like that.
But also,
it's out, but you use your arms to jump. And I think, like I said, from the speed of the ball, him trying to get in the way of the ball, and his arm not being perpendicular to his body, I think it's extremely harsh.
But I think he could have got out of the way, which is proven because he jumped in front of the ball, so he didn't have to jump in front of the ball.
Without VAR, that is never given as a penalty, and you can see that none of the Man United players appeal for it because no one.
Well, we messed up for him to look at it, so I think Dalot did. I think Dalot said it was.
That's not how it works. That's if the VAR referee says we think there's something worth looking at.
But I think Dalot did ask the referee that he said he did go like that, as if he hit his arm.
But normally, if there's a handball, you see everyone go up, and
maybe not everyone's seen it.
For me, like I said, I know you said you think the actual rule itself is the problem. I think it's the application. The rule's fine. I just don't think it applies in this situation.
He didn't have to get in the way. He could have stayed out the way, but he didn't. He decided to jump in front of the way.
Because the whole point, you're meant to block the ball, aren't you?
Yeah, and then he jumped with his elbow out, so I think it hit his elbow, and that's made him bigger.
I think it's impossible to imagine someone jumping with both their arms by the sides. You have to.
I wouldn't say he didn't have to put it by his sides, but he didn't have to put it out as much as he did.
I don't think. Yeah, this is the grey area you have with these kind of situations. It's to which level of movement are you allowed with your arm? Like, for instance, if I'm sitting face on, if my arm's here, is that okay? But is that wrong? Like, where is the line? That's
an issue, obviously,
because for me, like I said, if my arm's out here, then it's a penalty. But I don't think it was.
But there's a rule next year coming in. Obviously, there's no accidental handballs. It's handball or it's not. Simple as that.
I mean,
so that's changed everything. That is no grey area then.
Yeah, I think that is harsh, but
there's no grey area.
It's a lot easier for people not to have the same debate we're having, because, like you said, it'd be black and white.
If it's handball, it's pen.
Quite easy to decide.
Simple as that. Actually, that is the rules. But let us know what you think again. Let us know in the comments below on Twitter, where we will probably have a poll out, hopefully. Probably with this clip of us talking about it, debating about it. Let us know if you think it should have been a penalty or not a penalty, or if there's problems with the rules or not.
If you're a Man United fan, just let us know how you enjoyed it. Yeah. Because I imagine that was pretty fun.
Tell me how the feelings felt.
I was very jealous. No, I haven't had that experience in my life.
It was one of the best nights I've had as a United fan.
England in the World Cup was the closest I've come, I think, against Colombia, but I haven't had a proper...
I can't remember the last time I felt this good as a United fan, like on that specific night. Obviously, Champions League 2008 was a big one. I'm trying to think what else. I can't really think off the top of my head, but it was a massive night for me as a United fan, so hopefully it was just as big for you lot. Let us know how you felt. And yeah, let us know if you thought it was a penalty or not, United fans, non-United fans. And yeah. Next story.
Man United again.
I might have to bleep that out, Marcus.
Yeah, Man United again.
Can we skip this one?
Can we?
No, obviously, yeah.
Straight back down to earth.
Kind of a hangover kind of result on the weekend from obviously Wednesday. But now, to be fair, the issue...
2-0, wasn't it?
2-0, yeah.
2-0.
The second one was never a penalty. No, he dived completely. He was barely touched him. Never a penalty. But on the day, the difference was Arsenal. Well, the first goal, I don't know what De Gea was doing. I don't really understand how the first goal went in.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen it. Basically, the ball was struck from quite a long distance out. There was swerve on the ball, but David De Gea wrong foots himself completely and then can't get back. I think. The only thing I come to the conclusion of was maybe he was not paying attention or he'd switched off for a second.
Yeah,
and then the ball would come at him and he
just went the wrong way.
As quick as I thought, he was no, it's too late. That's all I can think of, because I mean he's such a top goalkeeper. You wouldn't
it was crazy
to dive or to wrong foot himself and go the complete wrong way when it was very abundantly clear which direction the ball was going in.
So the first goal was just pure luck from that. Second goal should never have been a pen anyway. But also we created enough chances to win that game. Lukaku missed I think 3 or 4 chances. We had opportunities that we should have scored. We hit the crossbar. Sorry, pardon me. We hit the crossbar. We hit the post. It's one of those days that it's not your day. You give everything. You play all right, because we've played a lot worse in one games this season, especially in the Solskjaer. We've played a lot worse in one. We played well.
Always played 20 games, and it's his second loss. First one domestically. I think it's good.
The first one didn't matter either.
Finally got rid of that domestic loss, because when you have that record, at some point it's going to be broken.
It's just that game. It was difficult to lose because obviously they're a big rival now for top 4.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to lose that one, especially when they're not a very good side. They're not a good side. We could have easily.
I think they can be a good side. They're just very. They blow hot and cold a lot.
It's just disappointing because
still finding their feet under.
It's just disappointing because we did, like I said, we created enough chances to win the game and we just didn't take them, and that was the difference at the end of the day. And they came away with 3 points. Fair play to them. But it's just disappointing.
Does make the chase for the top 4 a lot more interesting.
There's 2 spots for 4 teams, so Spurs are involved now.
Yeah, as we spoke about last time, if a couple of results don't go their way, Spurs could very much find themselves outside of the top 4 in a couple of weeks' time. I mean, I doubt it's going to happen, but it's not out of the realm of possibility.
I still fancy us, but Arsenal have got a good run in, so Arsenal will back themselves as well. Obviously Spurs will back themselves, and Chelsea fans, I think they're the more cautious out of the lot. I think they'll end up finishing the lowest.
Chelsea?
Yeah, I think, because without Hazard, they don't really do anything.
They're still struggling to find their feet under Muric.
So for me, I think it's probably too. They still have a chance. Don't get me wrong. They got a game in hand over the rest of us and stuff, and they'll go above us if they win that game in hand. But I'm still confident we'll finish above Chelsea and hopefully Arsenal as well. Your turn to have a little 2-0 up at half time. You thought you were cruising, nice little win. Obviously, doesn't mean much for the season. It's pretty much over anyway for you.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't take the defeat badly because at this point,
but it's got to be disappointing.
I'm not going to. You're right. I mean, I think unless Man United and Man City end up playing each other in the final of the Cup, sixth is probably going to be the highest or the only European spot in the league, which means seventh might not even have Europa League, and I don't think we're going to get seventh anyway. So we're certainly not going to get sixth. So yeah, season's over, no competition to play for, just really we need to build up a bit of momentum, and I thought this was going to be a bit of a momentum builder after 2 positive results, and no, not quite. Marcus will bring up the stat on the screen, but Everton have only lost once in over 300 appearances in all competitions over their entire history, being 2-0 up at half time, the last one being in 1975, so now they made it 2. Not a great result. Everton, I think, played reasonably well from what I hear. Richarlison was dreadful, but got on the score sheet, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin did well. Bernard and Lucas Digne never left was a really good partnership. It started to look Baines, Pienaar-esque, not quite in the same, not in the same stratosphere, but they're showing signs. But it's just really disappointing. I think my main takeaway from the game is a lot of people have criticised Marco Silva. His substitutes were very heavily panned. He brought on Yerry Mina with 15 minutes to go. Brought on Yerry Mina with 15 minutes to go while we were 2-1 up, and we ended up losing 3-2. People were saying it's a very negative substitution. Why would you bring on this centre-back who hasn't had the best season so far? But, I mean, in all fairness, 15 minutes left, you're a goal up at Newcastle, who aren't a great side. You'd expect to hold that out. You also know that Chelsea's coming up. We can't play Kurt Zouma in that game because it's his parent club. So Yerry Mina will have to play that game. He needs to get minutes under his belt if he's going to play that game. The substitute made sense. I think people want to find a stick to hit Marco Silva with at the moment, and they're blaming him. But in reality, everything works. The first half was fantastic. Sort of score-wise, it was just a capitulation. Just capitulation. And it very much sums up Everton's season, where at half-time you're thinking, yeah, this is right, we're doing right. And then at full-time you're thinking, what's the point?
As you say, it's got to be disappointing for you as an Everton fan, because 2-0 up at half-time against a team like Newcastle, you expect to at least win the game. Doesn't matter what the scores in the end, but it must be hugely... But to be fair, you were lucky originally, before obviously the second goal, that Pickford should have been red-carded. It was probably the worst piece of goalkeeping I've seen this season. He catches the ball. Well, he goes to catch the ball.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it,
search it, find it.
Do it. Yeah, do a Twitter search. Pickford goes to claim the ball, uncontested.
Drops it.
Drops it, and then he has the option. Does he dive for the ball and probably miss? Or does he dive for the player? He full on.
There we go. Perfect timing.
Full on spears Salomon Rondon there.
To be fair.
And not only was that not a red card, it wasn't even a yellow card. He did give away a penalty, and then he saved the penalty from Matt Ritchie. So I think Newcastle fans had a fair reason to be upset. But
to be fair, the Six Nations is on, so he must have just thought about that and thought,
in two minds.
I'll go for a nice little tackle.
It's the most shocking.
It has been awful this season.
It was one of his worst, even though he saved the penalty, it was one of his worst games in an Everton shirt. And it's just because it was also was the second or the winner? One of them he could have saved as well, which went straight under him. He should have saved. Yeah, the second
equaliser. Yeah,
first. Yeah, he basically got straight through him.
So it was a poor game from him. Like I said, it's disappointing for Everton fans, but just look at that. He's rugby tackled him.
Yeah,
literally, obviously, you can't see the full picture here, but he literally has to tap it in. Rondon taps that ball in if he doesn't get rugby tackled.
He'd round him and just knock it in. But I mean, as bad as it is,
into an empty net.
It's always the referee that just sounds how two linesmen, a VA, like do we have VA? No, we don't have VA. Two linesmen and the referee. How has they not seen that? How is that not a red card? They've given us a penalty. They know he made a foul. How is that not?
The only thing I can think of is the double punishment rule. But then that has to be if he's gone for the ball.
Yeah, double punishment.
So they must have. They must have mistaken that.
For the ball.
He's clearly not gone for. We can't even see the ball.
It's like down here somewhere.
It is generally bad.
Yeah, but
like I said, if you haven't watched it, go watch it because
definitely do a search. It's comical, but yeah, the main point of it is I'm not really that fussed. There he is. I knew the Perez. He scored 2. I'm not really that fussed. I mean. It sucks, but for me now, really, as much as I love football and I love the season, I'm just counting down the days until the season ends so we can reset and go again, because this season has been a disaster. Hopefully Marco Silva survives the remaining 9 games, but if he doesn't, I mean...
So you're going to get in? That's the question.
The big consensus on Twitter at the moment is Mikel Arteta, and I have plenty of thoughts about that, but we might go into that today.
But he's had no experience. We don't even know what you can get with him.
I know.
But he has been under Pep.
Today. Maybe if Marco Silva gets sacked, we'll discuss it. But yeah, Mikel Arteta's the one people are looking at the moment.
Obviously, he's been under Pep, so could be. As I said, we'll discuss that another day. I guess the thing for me is, you're on finishing 7th. There's just 2 or 3 teams that are better than this season.
Oh yeah.
Wolves, Watford, and West Ham are on. Well, I was going to say they're on a push, but they lost to Cardiff 2-0 the other day, so they wouldn't say worry about West Ham anymore.
But yeah, undoubtedly Watford and Wolves. Whoever gets 7th place, they've both been really good this season. I hope it's Wolves, just because
I think it will be Wolves.
Watford fans would I mean, I've got no problem with Watford. They were actually really helpful to me in the past, but the fans would give us a lot of grief. So just for that aspect, I suppose. I think
it will be Wolves, and then Watford 8th, and then probably United.
Yeah.
Now on to the main story that we should probably have started with, but obviously we won again.
Well, we always tack on at the end because no one wants to really listen to it.
Obviously we won again.
You've all gone by now.
But no, obviously we won again, beat Scotland, so which means there's 1 weekend left. Wales and England both in with a chance of winning the Six Nations title. Obviously it's in our hands. We're going for the Grand Slam, beat Ireland. It's ours. But if we manage to lose to Ireland, which is possible, Ireland are a very good side, 2nd best team in the world at the moment, beating New Zealand. And you beat Scotland, which looks likely because Scotland have a lot of injuries. Because they had injuries problems playing us, but they got another 3 or 4 injuries on top of that. So they're going to struggle against you, I think. So we need to win. We need to win.
Do you feel confident?
I don't know. I felt more nervous.
You don't know if you feel confident?
No. I don't know. I felt more nervous for the England game because... Maybe probably some friends with you a lot, but I felt more nervous for the England game because I thought England, after they beat France, I thought, we're going to lose to them. We can't lose to them. But Ireland, I kind of expected us to, if we do lose, people will say we bottled it. We haven't bottled it. Ireland are a good side. They're the 2nd best team in the world. I know you managed to beat them.
There's a massive thing about that in sport, then, isn't it? People love calling people bottle jobs.
Yeah, it's not bottling losing to the 2nd best team in the world. I know we're 3rd in the world, so it's second against 3rd in the world, it is really. Yeah. But obviously, it was great to see us beat Scotland again. We left it tighter than it should have been, especially after we dominated first half, poor second half. But I think if we do win this Grand Slam and we do beat Ireland, huge credit has got to go to Sean Edwards for the defence. Our defence have won us the title if we do win it, because it's been outstanding in every game. We conceded the fewest points. Our line-out's been dreadful as well. It's got the worst line-out in the competition, not just awful. It's been bad. But I'm excited for the weekend. It's going to be an interesting one. We're at home. We're in Cardiff, so that gives us one advantage at least.
Thankfully, you are also going to be.
Yeah, I'm going to be at home. I'm going to be.
You won't be able to lord it over us if you do win.
I'll be back. I know.
But we'll just forget about it by that point. When you'll get back and we'll be like, oh mate, the rugby was over. What are you on about? It's football time now.
If we win the Grand Slam, the next UTF podcast, we're going to get a huge Welsh flag on the background.
We are
Cats wearing a Welsh top.
Definitely not. We never made that agreement. Because you are a coward. I just for a moment, I want to put that on record, by the way. We were going to do a segment on the show at one point where we would each have to wear an opposing shirt if we lost. And it's him that wouldn't do it, because he's the coward. I would have worn a Liverpool shirt if I lost. I said I would.
I wasn't confident enough to risk it because I've never worn an England top in my life. It's just not happening. Sorry, English people out there, but I'm just not. I'm Welsh through and through.
You're just a coward.
I'm a passionate Welshman, that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, and a coward.
But yeah, I really do hope we would do the Grand Slam, obviously. It'll be the 3rd one under Gatland since he took over 11 years ago, which I think is a huge feat. It's probably one of the best man.
Big with the World Cup coming up as well.
Yeah, it gives a huge amount of confidence heading into the World Cup.
Especially as well, as you said earlier on, the first 2 games you were pretty poor.
Yeah.
Going into the England game, you're really expecting a loss because Wales were playing pretty poor and England were playing better. Well, not amazing, better than Wales were. And now, somehow, you ended up in the situation where...
We've got a Grand Slam chance.
Grand Slam high, which is no means...
I wish it was between us and Ireland, so if we lost, at least it goes to Ireland. But if we lose, it goes to England, and that's probably the worst thing if we lose. Not that we lost, but it goes to England.
Yeah.
So that'll be the worst thing. But I'm hoping, hopefully we can defeat Ireland, put Sexton under pressure, cause him some problems, and hopefully our defence holds out, and we score enough tries to win the game. That's my hope for the weekend. Let's hope not.
So not. I mean, it's also the Cheltenham races this week, but we don't know anything about horses. So.
We're betting and...
How's your betting go? Let us know if you won anything.
Yeah, because at the moment we're
struggling. Get on Sky Bet, there's some great deals.
Are we sponsored by Sky Bet now?
No.
No.
I redact that. Let's say I never said that. Just have a look, see what betting there is.
But that's
the plot.
But I think that's all for this week's podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed this again.
Yeah. Nice to be back. Missed a week. We're not back next week, are we?
I don't think we are back next week, sadly, but we will be back the week after. We do hopefully have maybe a second video coming out.
Yeah, we're going to try and see if we can get a couple of other bits and pieces out. As always, if you could tweet the link to people, text them it, email them it, Skype people and show our names to the rooftops. Whatever you fancy, we'll take any kind of coverage we can get. No publicity is bad. Every bit of publicity we can get is fantastic. So, if you have to cycle down the road and scream our name, then that's fine. We'll take it. But just,
pretty much nailed it on the head there, Kev. But make sure you do subscribe to our channel, as we said, turn it 100. It means a lot to us. So
Twitter. I need more followers. Please. I'm not desperate, I'm fine.
It's only because he's behind me, so he's kind of like...
Ratio.
But our latest video is going to be here, and make sure you press the subscribe button below and like the video.
That was here, in case you don't understand Welsh. Here. It was here.
Can we get him kicked off the podcast by any chance?
Sorry.
But subscribe. Subscribe if you're new. Like this video and comment below if you want to debate with us or tweet us anything we're talking about. That's it for this week's UTF Sport podcast. We'll see you next week. Next time.
Jesus.